Happy Friday, America. That's right. It's time for another episode of your favorite show right here on the Discussion Combustion Production YouTube channel. Be sure to support our sister shows over there, DCPC, Raw Talk, and of course, Mash the Gas is now available on this channel. And we're going to be ripping some NASCAR here in just a few weeks. My name is Kevin Batstone. We have a lot to get to today, so we're going to keep it snappy, folks. Joining me now across the table, that is Arthur, the married Rawe.
Hey, sorry, ladies. And also, you're welcome, one lucky lady out there in the world. Couldn't be happier. I couldn't have made a better decision. Super confident about it. But I got to tell you this, 2025 has been coming in with mega energy. So are you part of that success wave? Because it's happening all around us. And of course, we got to get into Today in History.
Today in History, Art, January 24th. What do we got?
Well, 1848, James Marshall finds gold in Sutter Mill in Coloma, California, adding to the Californian gold rush. Obviously, there's a huge gold rush in Colorado as well. But yeah, man, 1848, mid-19th century, that was all going down. Moving forward to 1925, moving picture of solar eclipse taken from Long Island. So, you know, a movie, but back then it was called moving pictures. So
Wasn't that why they called it a motion picture?
A motion picture, yeah. So that's kind of where all that comes from. But that was the first time a solar eclipse was ever captured in a moving picture. Moving forward, 1955, I got to celebrate this. My mom was born on this day, Louise Schiller, the great granddaughter of the epic poet Schiller.
That's pretty cool.
So happy birthday, Mom. I have to put that one in there.
Happy birthday, Mom Louise. It was great seeing you last week at Art's wedding. And I didn't realize your mom is only like a couple weeks older than my mom. My mom was February 16th, 1955.
Yeah, and
so
because your mom and my dad have the same birthday.
Different year.
Different years.
Yep, which we'll get to in February, but let's keep it moving.
We will get to that in February.
Happy birthday, Mama Louise. We love you.
Yes, happy birthday, Mama. And then, of course, in 1984, an epic commercial aired during the Super Bowl.
That was creepy.
And it was Apple Computer Inc., and that was their very first, big premiere. And remember, it's like this 1984, like, brr, 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 brr. And it's like this one lady full of color runs in and, like, throws this hammer at the screen.
We were watching it before we jumped on it. What did I say? I was like, this gives me, like, Terminator vibes. Mm-hmm. It was kind of creepy and, like, dark. Like, I wasn't really getting this real exciting, like, here we got this great technology coming. It was, like, a little bit creepy, I felt.
Yeah, and their whole thing is, like, you know, let's break out of this 1984 book that was written, and let's, like, break into a new 1984. And we all obviously know how Apple's personal computers, how those blew up and were in every single house, and, like, how that's transformed technology, so on and so forth. That's January 24th in history.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's keep it moving, Art. I found a crazy article here. First of all, so in a nutshell, a passenger clings on to the outside of a 175-mile-per-hour German train after the doors close on him. He went out for a quick smoke while the train came to a stop. It started going again. He's like, oh, shit. So he clung on to in between the rail carts. You know, there's like a little thing he could hold on to.
Yeah.
And he was just holding on to this fucker as it was just blasting.
He didn't have his feet on anything? Or like?
Well, no, it wasn't there. There was dangling. He was in between the carts,
but
he wasn't secured inside the cabin.
Yeah.
And so this thing went. And 40-year-old man, we'll call him the dumbass of the week, because I think he's deserving of that. This did happen in 2017. A Romanian man survived 99 miles per hour for 15 miles.
Wow.
This one went in between the stations of Lübeck, I believe is the name of that, and Neuburg, Germany. Those were the two stops that he was holding on to there. And, man, 175 miles an hour. You think about how much inertia that creates, and, like, granted, he had his footing and he was holding on, but you're still outside. Shit's flying by. Pretty wild.
No, that's one of those moments. So when I used to do construction, I would be like carrying a lot of stuff up, or like carrying like shingles up, or like a window up on a ladder. And like in that moment, I'm just thinking, if I mess this up, if I fall out, like this could be death. So I could only imagine like you're white knuckling the rail, like going 107. Like, you know, if you don't hold on,
you're done.
That's it.
You're gone.
That's it. So I'm happy that he held on, but that's definitely a dumbass of the week moment where you can't even hold off your cigarette addiction.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, come on. We got to tighten up here, folks. Now, he did, they said the unidentified man, so he will likely face charges for fare evasion and an act of disruptive of operations.
But he had the fare.
Well,
maybe he didn't.
technically he didn't, because he wasn't properly credentialized according to this.
Oh.
He went out for a smoke and he was trying to, zip in before the doors closed, missed it, jumped on.
So not only was he prioritizing nicotine, but he also was like
trying to get a free ride. And that's what happens. So he survived, of course, but he's got some charges coming. That's my lead article. You got something about drug rats.
Yeah, everyone can get addicted to drugs. It's happened to me. Fortunately, I came out the right side here.
I don't mean to laugh. But
hey, we're at that point where it can be considered funny.
Okay.
How bad my situation was.
It was pretty rough.
Only because I made out of it. But hey, rats get addicted to drugs too, and so do cockroaches apparently. So Houston police are dealing with an issue to where their narcotics locker, where back in 2015, there was this huge initiative to store all these kind of contraband evidence to hold up against cases. Apparently, there was like 1.2 million pieces of evidence stored by the city and discarded from earlier than 2015 till now. And so what's going on with this is these rats are getting into the lockers. And we got a quote here. We got 4,000 pounds of marijuana in storage, and the rats are eating and enjoying it. So they're eating the marijuana. The rats are also eating hallucinogenic mushrooms, and they're getting in there. Of course, they have hired an exterminator to come out here, like, duh. But, quote unquote, what did he say here? He's like, these drug addicted rats, they're really tough to deal with. is what the exterminator's saying.
Think about regular rats that aren't on drugs. They're a pain in the ass too.
Yeah.
So you get them all hopped up on some shit, God knows.
Yeah, and so they're going in here. Fortunately, the majority of evidence that's been tampered with by these rodents is not in active cases. So it's just old evidence sitting here, but they're still going into the lockers and eating it.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's old evidence or current evidence that's being held, either way, it needs to stay in an evidence locker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? I guess that's the best move you can do, is get an exterminator and try to rectify the situation.
Or if like this evidence isn't needed anymore, like how do they dispose
I think they used to burn it.
Yeah, just burn the stuff. And guess what? This isn't just happening in Houston. We've actually heard reports coming out of New Orleans as well, where they have rats and cockroaches that are eating marijuana and they're all high. So, well, not only humans want to get down, and everyone will find the stash eventually.
Well, New Orleans, as we talked about on DCPC last night, I got an update for you today. They received 8.5 inches of snow in the city of New Orleans.
Whoa.
Bourbon Street was completely covered. So, these rats are going to be drugged out and in the cold. So, tough deal for those rats, Art.
Right where they deserve.
Right where they deserve. All right, we're keeping it moving. We got a lot to get to. My random records this week. David Rush is still doing some amazing things.
I actually added him at the bottom.
We keep a close eye on what Rush has got going on, okay? I'll let you run that at the tail end of this article.
Thank you.
So this one's kind of cool, Art. So a Turkish woman here, I'm going to try and say her name, Gözde Dogan, I believe is her name, squashed 5 watermelons within 60 seconds. So what is that? About 15 seconds-ish per watermelon.
Okay.
Squished them completely with her thighs.
Okay.
So a big old watermelon.
So crack them in half, basically.
Think about how hard that is to do. I mean, your legs have amazing strength, but these are big-ass watermelons, man. I mean, even if you throw it on the ground or whatever, sometimes they hold they hold together. But she smashed 5 of these sumbitches, 60 seconds, broke the new record. I guess the previous one was 4 watermelons, so she upped it by 1. That was set back in 2017. She now holds the record for quickest watermelon smashing with thighs.
I thought the greatest part about this event is that they did it outside near where there's anthills. So
Yes.
Then that way, all of this extra watermelon, it was all just eaten by wild animals and stuff. I just made that part up. But I would like to think they did it like that.
If they did, that's terrific.
I just
multi-purpose.
What practical purpose in real life would like having that ability? Okay, so
Choke someone out.
Yeah, so some robber, like they try to get you and like you end up putting them in like a leg bar or something. I don't know what that's called, but like you end up getting them in there and you're like, you shouldn't have fucked with me.
Any sort of strength like that is going to yield benefits.
These are watermelon cracking legs, okay?
They're
watermelon
serious too.
popping, smashing.
Yeah, scrolling down, click the link in the show notes down below. Take a gander for yourself at this pretty crazy record. What's David Rush up to this week?
David Rush, he got one by bouncing table tennis balls off of bottle caps. let's go, Rush. I just had to throw that in there. I recognize him in his picture. I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks like David Rush, and it was. So there it was.
He's becoming a pretty recognizable figure in the world record space.
Yeah, that blue shirt,
strong, social media presence. Yeah. Rush is getting it. Let's go, Rush.
Yeah, Rush is the man. Of course, we got to talk about Would You Rather, but do a recap of last week's Would You Rather.
Do you remember last week's Would You Rather?
Last week's Would You Rather, it wasn't the shoes or sandals.
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I forget.
Okay, so last week we asked America, would you rather give up cheese or sex?
Oh, cheese or sex, yeah.
America unanimously went 100%. They're getting rid of cheese. Everyone's keeping the sex. It was a pretty simple one.
Yeah, pretty easy. Thank you for agreeing with us. Dairy out, derriere in.
From under.
Whoa now.
All right, what do we got this week for the Would You Rather, Art? I haven't even read it yet.
So Would You Rather for this week is kind of like the girls versus the guys sort of thing. So you're put into a situation where you're at a college campus and you have to deep clean either a sorority house or a fraternity house. So would you rather have to deep clean a sorority house or a fraternity house?
Well, you kind of have to go through some bullet points because you think about a frat house with guys is going to be beer cans, food everywhere, probably a lot of laundry, and a mess. There's probably shit everywhere.
There's probably people using the bathroom in other places. Actually, in both.
In both.
Because when people get drunk, they go to the bathroom everywhere.
Yeah, there's partying happening. There's probably vomit, in both. So very similar, I think, things that you would be cleaning up in both. The difference is women add the layer of extra clothing, extra makeup, extra items,
longer hair for the most part.
So I think both of these are going to suck either way.
Yeah.
A frat or a sorority house, you're in for a long day.
Yeah.
I'll take the frat house because I am a man. I know how to clean up those situations that I've made messes in my 20s and in the Ridge days, our college years, if you will. I'm going to clean the frat house.
Okay, so I'm actually going to go the opposite, but for a specific reason.
Okay.
Is let's say that we clean each sorority house and frat house to the equal ability. So they're both cleaned the exact same. I feel that in the end, the sorority house is actually going to look cleaner than the fraternity house.
Why?
Because I just believe that. I believe like the color scheme, like the decorations are going to end up being nicer because women just have that extra touch. Like guys are okay with bare minimum, like, holes in the walls. They don't care.
That's why I took the frat house. I think it's going to be a little bit simpler.
Yeah, so I'm going sorority house because I believe that the finished product will be more satisfying.
Interesting.
But hey, what do Kevin and I know? What do you say, America?
Let us know over on our Twitter X at HappyFryUSA. That's where the polls go up. And let us know what you think, America. Interesting stuff there, Art.
Definitely.
All right, let's keep it moving. So more AI stuff. Obviously, President Donald Trump was inaugurated earlier this week, and on day 2, he announced a $500 billion project by AI called Stargate. And this basically the idea of this is that we want to be the leading country in the world of AI technology, and we're going to invest in it here. It's going to be on American soil, and it's going to create about 100,000 jobs according to this layout. Now, what I will say is I don't agree with everything that's going on with this because a lot of the idea of this and what they want to do and the way it was sold to the American people is that it's going to take healthcare to the next level. And we're going to take mRNA vaccinations to the next level. I don't agree with those. So, on that side of it, with trying to use AI to be the future of vaccinations and some of the health treatments, don't like that side of it. But that's just the evolution and innovation of healthcare. You have to rising tide lifts all boats. There's going to be some things that are great, maybe some things I don't agree with, but I like the idea of it. The infrastructure is going to be built primarily in Texas, and if we can learn more about how to combat things like heart disease and cancer from this AI data research, then I think it's going to be a good thing.
I think that medically it does have some really intriguing benefits. But, you don't get a pardon unless if you did something guilty. And so if something bad happens with this AI to where it develops something, like who's going to catch the blame for that? So that's kind of like my quick side note on what you're saying specifically here. But overall, I do agree with the focused energy on AI. For my day job, I'm not going to disclose much about that, but the company I work with is heavily involved in AI. I am already working heavily with AI as well and integrating new systems. So it is something that is here. It's dawned upon us. We will not get away from AI anytime soon, if ever. And I do believe that it is important for the United States to really dive into this and be one of the forerunner, one of the people out front on this. And if it takes this kind of investment to get this infrastructure up and really start building it out, then I'm all for it. Even as a taxpayer, that's 500 billion is a big number, but AI is here. It's affecting my day job already. And here's the thing with AI, because a lot of people are afraid it's going to take their jobs, only if you're not using it. So start using AI, get used to this concept, start changing with it, and then become a master at it, and then you will keep your job security and also probably have a better workflow. That's my quick tidbit on AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's here to stay. We got to adapt with it. We got to evolve with it. Just like when email first came out, just like when a lot of things went to websites and e-commerce, a lot of people fought against it. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And the developers from OpenAI are involved with this. So a lot of the AI leading experts in the country are going to be involved with this. I think the only the concern is going to be how much electricity it's going to pull to power these computers, these AI machines. But that's for someone way smarter than me. I'll just kind of sit back and see what happens from there. But it was kind of a big article that broke this week. I know there's a lot of things going on in the country that people are upset about, so I try to focus on something that maybe both sides of the aisle could agree with in Trump's first few days here in presidency. Let's keep it moving. Art, you got something about bears.
Yeah, I got something about bears, and actually the bare necessities of being a criminal is to not blow up your own spot, and we're learning that here. So a man told 911 that a bear chased him off a cliff. Weeks later, he was arrested for murder. So this guy apparently was like stealing different identities. He had all these different warrants out for his arrest, and he had brought this one guy out into the woods, and he wanted to steal his identity. Ends up like having foul play out there in the woods, unalives this guy, and then calls a 911 dispatch to try to coerce this weird story to steal his identity. Honestly, him making this phone call in the first place, he probably thought it to be as a way to prove and create validity toward this identity theft. Like this phone call was going to help that situation. But I will also call this guy a dumbass of the week because he blew up his own spot. Because of this phone call, the authorities got onto him, saw a foul play. They're like, obviously this body, because they found a body in the woods, and
near where he was.
Yeah, and so they saw it wasn't like bear stuff that went on. And then they end up finding this guy. He's like at a restaurant or something, and then they go pick him up. He was apprehended with like a nonviolent apprehension. So even though some foul play did happen, it wasn't a good situation. They were able to get this guy off the streets, and they nailed him on all these charges and like fraud, identity theft, and also whichever code is for unaliving. They got him on that too. So it just goes to show you, like, you can't hide from anything you do in this life. So try to do the right things, because regardless of what you're doing, it's gonna come back in abundance. If you are doing a lot of good into the world, you're gonna get good back in abundance. If you're doing bad into the world, you're gonna get that back in abundance. And no one's smarter than karma and what the universe has to repay us with. So
yeah,
that was just kind of a ridiculous story. I was like, I had to throw that one in there.
That's what you get. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. You go out in the Bears playground and try to commit really anything. Yeah, he's probably going to fuck with you a bit. And then when you go call for help, now you just blew up your own spot. So it's a catch-22. What do you do?
No, he called in saying he was like the injured guy, and like he made up this whole story. There was no bear. There's actually no bear.
There was no bear.
Yeah, no.
So he just made it up.
Yeah, he went into the woods with this other guy.
And to dump the body.
Yeah.
And then said, I'm hurt.
Yeah. So he's an
So
idiot.
he was trying to set it up like that. I had to kill this guy because I was fucked up.
No, he was trying to set it up like, so the guy that was
deceased
was his older self or something, and he was stealing that new guy, his identity, and so he was trying to do some foul stuff.
Well, he's an idiot then.
Yes, yeah. So it didn't work out for him.
It didn't work out at all.
If you think you're smarter than karma, then go ahead and try it. I guarantee you it comes back.
Oh man, interesting story. We're going to keep it moving to chimpanzees.
Yes.
All right. So a study came out this week. It's kind of a long read. So
the only other violent mammal
is a chimpanzee.
Yeah, they harm other chimpanzees. They're the only one other than us that harm their own species.
Yeah.
Like chimpanzees and humans, we go after each other hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there, including the way we pee.
Oh.
So, it's considered a human phenomenon that, men will piss together, like in public restrooms, especially the old school ones where you just have like a trough on the wall and you just, let it hang and go do your business. But
I never liked those.
yeah, I was used to
Not a fan.
the racetracks that I grew up going to.
Yeah.
That's all they had. So you got used to it. In any case, there was a study that came out on chimpanzees. They did 600 hours of research and observation. And what they determined that there was 1,328 instances where when one chimpanzee would start to throw a whiz, the other one would join them and do the same thing.
Interesting.
So it's contagious is what they're saying, is that when a chimp sees one throw a whiz, he wants to join him. And also peeing, it's considered a social phenomenon between these incredible creatures.
So I have a theory about why this exists. Is because, out there in the wild, it's dangerous. And we're most vulnerable when we're using the restroom. Like, that's a very vulnerable moment.
It is.
So maybe they got, like, this collective, like, oh, it's safe for one, so we all do. Sort of thing to, like, protect the group.
Yeah, it could be. It could be like an instinctual thing.
Yeah, same with like the girls when they go to the club. Like, it's wild in there. You don't know what could happen in the club. And so that's like when you one girl needs to go use the bathroom, the whole group goes. It's like a safety in numbers thing. You're not leaving anyone out there at risk on the floor.
There is some, interesting comparison there, Art. There definitely is some psychological behavior that goes into this, almost like yawning. Mm-hmm. Right?
Which the Mythbusters, wait, are you about to yawn? Because I feel it coming on now.
No, I was holding back a burp.
Oh, okay.
I'm drinking these topos.
Yeah, you almost made me need to yawn.
Those
are zesty. Let me have a little bit of that.
So what we drink here on Happy Friday is the Topo Chico Lime. These are non-alcoholic, by the way. So these chimps, they did the research, just kind of how often do you read studies like this? And that's why I put it in as my closing article. But there's not much to take away from it other than that there is a lot of similarities between the behavior of chimps and humans. You already mentioned some of the darker sides of that. And apparently, peeing is like yawning to them, and it becomes contagious. And maybe some of the insight you provided plays in that a bit. It's like a instinctual feeling that it's safe, to go about your business. What about shitting, you think?
I feel like that is also included.
I mean, because you could shit and piss at the same time.
Yeah, why not?
But are the chimps the one that know to shit in their hand and whip it at their...
Yes.
It's the chimps that do that?
Yeah.
I always forget which primate it is.
They got scat claws.
Scat claws?
No,
is that a thing?
No.
Oh.
It's not a real thing.
You had me for a minute.
Scat paws, because they don't have claws.
Scat paw.
Scat paw chimpanzee.
Slinging poo.
It's contagious, yawning, peeing, pooping, it's all contagious. You know what else is contagious is negative energy and positive energy. So
yeah, it's true.
Positively going to bring in this weekend.
Yeah, what do we got going on this weekend, Art? It's been a hell of a week.
Stuff.
What should the people do this weekend?
Man, so I'm kind of going into my own stuff here, but I want to organize my personal documents. Obviously, as you brought this in, I'm now a married man. Now that I tied the knot, we got the marriage license done, there's still stuff to do. So I want to organize personal documents, try to get a roadmap for the future. And you might want to do that too with all your stuff. Do you even know where your birth certificate is? Do you know where your important documents are in case you need them?
It's a good time to get organized, and this time of year, of course, as of Monday morning, the federal government is going to start accepting tax returns. So get ahead of it. Sit down this weekend, get your taxes done. If you have your W-2, I think legally they have until the 31st to send them out. They have to be posted. So maybe you don't have yours yet. If you do have it, go ahead and get it done this weekend. Just spend a couple hours, get your taxes done. That way, Monday morning when the IRS opens up for business, you're already in the queue.
And that's perfect, because I'm talking money on this next one. While you're looking into your taxes, why don't you go ahead and look at your bank statements and see what subscriptions are charging monthly. You might have a couple in there that you don't need anymore, that you don't use anymore. Go ahead and just cancel that, man. Even if it's $6 a month, that's going to add up over years. And then I feel like just creating those type of habits of saving and being more frugal with your money. If you do it on all the little stuff, then it comes more naturally with the big stuff. So that's another thing I suggest.
That's actually a good one, Art. A lot of people don't even realize that they're still paying for like Disney Plus, or all that shit adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you did a free trial you forgot about and you're paying $7.99 for some meal service or something, or some DoorDash or a YouTube Premium. It's good to go through that once a year and just clean it up. That's almost why I change my debit card once a year, just so it will catch some of that. And I'm like, oh.
Some of that happens without your intention, though. Like, they just be getting in that motherfucker for some reason.
It hasn't happened to me in a while. So
knock on
wood, a lot of that
on
has
that.
been my
knock
choice. Catch up with someone you hadn't seen in 2 decades. Hang out with an old buddy. make some moments, memories, and experiences. I'm about to have an epic weekend.
Yep, you got a full send life, and we're going to full send into the weekend. About to have a blessed one. Definitely check us out on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook. That's Happy Friday USA. On X, Happy Fry USA. Hit us with an email if you got anything silly that you want to share or talk to us about. Hey, we're just two guys trying to make it in this world, just like you're trying to make it in this world. And you know who brings us into the weekend? That's right. Let's go, Freakashinas.